The sun rose over the sleepy village like a golden whisper, brushing the treetops with light. It was one of those rare mornings that felt different. The air smelled of rain and earth, and the sky promised an adventure. Zulfiqar Dewal stood outside his house, fishing rod slung over his shoulder, a wide grin on his face. Today wasn't just another day, it was their day. A long-awaited plan with his closest friends to go fishing at the river that curved gently behind the hills. He had always loved the river. As a child, it had been his place of peace, where he'd sit for hours watching the current carry leaves downstream, dreaming of distant places. But this time, it wasn't just about fishing, it was about friendship, laughter, and collecting memories that time couldn't wash away. Soon his friends, Hamza, Rehan, and Bilal, arrived, carrying their nets, boxes, and that same uncontainable excitement that comes before every great adventure. They greeted each other with laughter and teasing, loading their bicycles with snacks, water, and an old radio that somehow still worked. The morning breeze carried their voices down the road as they pedaled toward the river, hearts light and spirits high. The road to the river was lined with mustard fields, glowing yellow under the soft morning sun. Birds flew overhead in graceful patterns, and the sound of the wind brushing through the tall grass created its own rhythm. Rehan started singing an old folk song, off-key but full of heart, while Hamza joked that if he sang any louder, all the fish would escape. The laughter that followed echoed through the open fields, the kind of laughter that only comes from real friendship. When they finally reached the river, it was breathtaking. The water shimmered like liquid glass, and the air was cool and fresh. Zulfiqar closed his eyes for a moment, letting the calm soak into his soul. "This," he said softly, "is where we belong." They found a quiet spot, under a large willow tree, unpacked their gear, and cast their lines into the water. For a while, silence filled the air, but it wasn't the heavy kind. It was peaceful, filled with the sound of flowing water, distant bird calls, and the occasional splash of a fish teasing them. Hamza was the first to break the silence. "I bet I'll catch the biggest fish today," Zulfiqar smirked, eyes still on the river. "Last time you said that, you caught an old slipper." Laughter broke out again, and the tension of daily life melted away with each joke, each shared story. Hours passed, but the fish seemed smarter than the boys. Not a single bite. Rehan started complaining, lying back on the grass with his hat covering his face. Bilal was trying to fix his tangled line for the 5th time, while Hamza had already given up and started skipping stones across the water. But Zulfiqar, patient as always, stayed still, eyes calm and focused. Then suddenly the line jerked. He felt the pull, strong, determined. His heart jumped. "Got one!" he shouted, gripping the rod tight. The others sprang to their feet, rushing toward him. The fish fought hard, splashing wildly, but Zulfiqar didn't give up. His hands trembled with excitement, his friends cheering behind him. After a few tense moments, he finally pulled the fish out of the water, shining silver, thrashing, alive. The boys erupted in cheers, jumping and clapping like little kids. Even Hamza admitted defeat. All right, you win, Master Fisherman." Zulfiqar smiled, wiping sweat from his forehead. Sometimes patience catches more than hooks. They cooked the fish right there by the riverbank, gathering dry wood and lighting a small fire. The aroma filled the air as they roasted it slowly, sharing stories from school, childhood pranks, and the dreams they rarely spoke about. When the food was ready, they sat together under the open sky, eating from the same plate, their hands greasy but hearts full. The river shimmered beside them, reflecting the sunset. Orange, pink, and gold blending together like a painting. Hamza leaned back, looking at the fading sun. "You know, we'll remember this day forever." Zulfiqar nodded quietly. "Not because of the fish, but because of us." There was something sacred about that moment, a kind of peace that only friendship and nature can give. The world felt big and small at the same time, and every sound, the crackle of fire, the splash of water, the hum of laughter, felt eternal. As night settled, they packed up their things and lay on the grass, staring at the stars. The radio played softly beside them, an old melody blending with the whisper of the river. For a moment, time stood still. No worries, no noise, just boys who had become brothers, held together by memories and silence that spoke louder than words. Before leaving, Zulfiqar looked at the river one last time. The moonlight danced on its surface like silver ribbons. He smiled, whispered a quiet prayer of gratitude, and turned to his friends. "Let's come back next month," he said. They all nodded, not because they needed more fish, but because they needed more moments like this. Moral: life isn't about catching big things. It's about cherishing small moments with people who make you feel alive.